Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So tonight, there's two things I want to address. This Bitcoin death cross or impending death cross. What does it mean exactly? Is it going to happen? And should we be concerned about it? What's next if it does happen or if it doesn't happen? Also, I want to talk about this email I received. I did that recently. There's another one that I received. I think it's quite interesting. I think this is something that a lot of new players or new investors, they may be uncomfortable with. So I'm going to address it as well. So thanks for tuning in. As always, smash the like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. 2 streams every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you hit that notification bell and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And also check out the brand new CryptosRUs.com page with a lot of new articles every single day. All right, let's do this. Welcome, guys. Welcome. So here we go. All right, so Bitcoin is still stuck right around 35.7, about the same point of this morning, just not a whole lot of movement right now, right? But there is this impending death cross that a lot of people have been paying attention to or just talking about. All right, so this is a little TA for you guys, technical analysis for those of you guys that care. So what is the death cross? Well, there's two kind of crosses. There's a death cross and a golden cross, and as you may have guessed, death cross is a bad thing. Golden cross is a good thing. And throughout Bitcoin's history, you'll see that it's been through many golden and death crosses. And right now, it seems like a death cross is about to happen within the next few days. So what does that mean? Well, the death cross and golden cross are both measured with moving averages. So usually, most people look at the 50-day and the 200-day. Now, the 50-day is what's more important because it shows you more what is going on short term versus the 200, which is a longer term. And both of these, keep in mind, are lagging indicators. They can only tell you what has happened previously. They can't really tell you what is going to happen tomorrow. So these are measuring the averages of the last 50 days and 200 days. Now, there's many intervals you could do, but most people look at the 50 and the 200. And if you're looking at my screen right now, the green is the 50 and the red is the 200. And you can see that the green has been very bullish. And it's been going up quite a lot. And you can see this big gap between the 50 and the 200. But with Bitcoin's recent, fall and now consolidating, you can see that the 50 is coming back down, although it's not like a sudden drop down. It's starting to slope and even out. And you can see the 200 is also starting to kind of even out. So they're getting close. So there is one of three things that may happen in the near future. Number one is if Bitcoin regains just a little bit of strength, what's going to happen with this green line, the 50-day, is that it's going to flatten out and recover upwards, okay, which will invalidate this death cross. Another thing that could happen is that Bitcoin continues sideways, and then the 50 and the 200-day pretty much level out simultaneously, and they kind of just hover on top of each other, really not forming a death cross or a golden cross, although some would still argue it's a death cross. Or you can have Bitcoin go down more, and then the 50-day crosses below the 200-day, and that's when you get a real death cross. So one of three things is going to happen, right? So right now, it seems like with Bitcoin just moving sideways, it does seem like the 50 and 200-day are leveling out, so it could be that they just touch or just hover on top of each other. But let's just pretend that Bitcoin shows a bit more weakness and the death cross does form. So what does that mean exactly? What's next? Does that mean that Bitcoin is just go nosedive? Does that mean the death cross is going to bring a whole lot of pain to Bitcoin holders? Well, that's up in the air too, because if you look at the past, two death crosses, you could see that short term, one of them actually did go down. Did go down. But one of them, actually, a sudden rise came up. Because keep in mind, both of these moving averages are, again, lagging indicators. They measure what has basically happened already. So looking at this death cross right here, you could see this is October 2019. Bitcoin had a pretty good pump that day, actually. But it still formed a death cross regardless. And after it pumped, it did get weaker. Just a little bit for about a month or so. And then it continued upwards. Now, once it formed the golden cross, we, of course, then had that pandemic, that black swan moment, that sell-off that also caused a death cross. But you could see that after that death cross, because of how fast Bitcoin recovered, right, that death cross got invalidated really quickly. So looking at the last two, it doesn't really indicate one way or another. In fact, some people would argue that a death cross is actually a contrarian play, meaning that a whole lot of people is anticipating pain afterwards, but that could actually be when things flip around because most of the pain has happened already. In this case, in March, you could see that this drop was the pain. Had you sold over here, right, that would have been a pretty bad move. Short term, maybe it would have been a good move because you do see there's a little bit more downside, but long term, that would have been a horrific move because you could see afterwards what it did, right? What Bitcoin did. But the time before, had you sold right at like 10,000, you would have done pretty well because then you have this drop where it stayed, right? But then it came right back up, and then you had this one. So honestly, guys, with this death cross thing, right? It could go either way. I know a lot of people are talking about, a lot of people are asking, George, the death cross go happen. What's going to happen? You know what? If it does happen, it doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin is just going nosedive because it formed a death cross, because most of the pain may have already occurred. Remember, we're about halfway off from our previous high, right? So most of the pain could have been done and over with, and now we're getting ready to move up, just like March of 2020. There's a lot of similarities between now and March of 2020. If you look at the drops, they're similar in percentage. Also, a lot of people are looking at moving averages and how Bitcoin is below certain marks. That also happened in March. Right now, it really mimics March of 2020 a whole lot, right? But then again, the death cross may not happen, because if we do see a significant rally, or just a little bit, if Bitcoin goes back up to about 42,000, it's going to invalidate this thing and push the 50-day up. So bottom line is, should you worry about this? My honest opinion is no. Because first of all, this death cross is not certain. So it could go one of three ways. I explained that. And also, even if it does happen, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go down. It could also be the start of an uptrend. So again, it could be 50-50 and you just don't know what's going to happen. So should you sit around, pondering, what you should do because this impending death cross is coming? You're just wasting your time. No one really knows what's going to happen. But I thought I'd address it anyways because a lot of people are talking about this. And then the Wyckoff pattern, and everyone is just fearing themselves, giving themselves an excuse to sell. And if you're thinking that and you have doubts in your mind, that means the media-driven FUD is working. The big boys that are pulling the strings, they have caused a lot of doubt and is making everyone trying to guess the next move of Bitcoin, right? So if you're feeling that way, right, their tactic has worked, and you gotta snap yourself out of it. And realize that this is only temporary. No one really knows what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, because short term, anything can happen. Crypto is volatile. Bitcoin is volatile. Any one thing can move things up and down very, very rapidly. But what is certain is that Bitcoin long term is going upwards. The upside is infinite. There's no top to where Bitcoin can be. And that's because Bitcoin is the scarcest, the hardest, the smartest, the most non-sovereign digital currency or digital store value, however you want to define it. It's the best that we have ever created. And it's created to go against the powers that be, the shenanigans that they have done before, and the shenanigans that are continuing to do now. Bitcoin was created to disrupt all that. And now we're seeing Bitcoin have effect, and that is why, all these powers that be, like the IMF and JP Morgan and BlackRocks of the world, they're afraid. They're afraid. That's why they're doing what they're doing now. So stay the course. Stay the course. All right. So that's the impending death cross. So now I want to address this other thing here. And that is this email. Well, actually, before I get to the email, there's a couple things I want to talk about. Here's the crypto fear and greed index. I brought this up before. Yesterday was 28. Today's 23. Of course, today is Saturday. Some people are still calling Bloody Sunday, even though the last 2 Sundays Bitcoin has not moved, right? So are we going to see it tomorrow? I mean, there just seems to be more fear on Sundays now, just because we had one big one, but traditionally Sundays are actually not bad at all, right? So fear is a little bit higher today than versus yesterday, but overall, this is still much higher than last week and the week before. And I still think that the fear index could be used as a bottom indicator, because the longer you hover towards a bottom, like what we're seeing now over here, right, the more likely that things are going to turn back up. Because if you go back, this is how it's always been. So not bad. All right, what else is there? Well, the stock to flow creator Plan B still believes that 288,000 Bitcoin per Bitcoin is still in play for this cycle. He has this new chart that looks really funky, but let's I think I have it up. No, that's not what it is. This is what it is. Let me bring this up here. So he has diamonds, real estate, silver, gold cluster, and gold all mapped in here, as well as Bitcoin. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to follow this. I don't even know actually where things how this is going, but this is very different than his other stock to flow models. But anyways, let's just say that he continues to believe that through his models that Bitcoin is still on track. All right, what else is there? Well, President Nayib of El Salvador just tweeted this out. Our engineers informed me that they dug a new well into their volcano, and approximately 95 megawatts of 100% clean, zero emission geothermal energy is coming out of it. Okay? So you could use that energy to mine Bitcoin. And according to this other guy, who happens to be a George as well, says that 95 megawatts of energy can generate 3 exahashes, which is around 600 Bitcoins in revenue per month. And that equates to an extra 250 million per year. That's at today's prices. That's not assuming if Bitcoin goes up back up to 60-something thousand or goes to 288,000. Imagine, how much they could be making per year with their 100% clean volcanic geothermal energy. That is pretty darn amazing, right? This is the reason why El Salvador, I think they're choosing to go with Bitcoin. They realize that they have a lot of free untapped energy just sitting there. Very, very encouraging. Rashid, I appreciate that. That's what I'm trying to do. Farshad says, Golden Cross formation incoming. Get ready. We're going higher. Best believe tsunami of money coming in. Tsunami of money is coming in. It is coming in. Don't let short-term volatility dictate long-term prosperity. Let me say that again. Don't let short-term volatility affect or decide long-term prosperity. Right? Because that's what Bitcoin is. Long-term prosperity. And you don't want to give up on that. You don't want to give up on that. All right. So lastly, I have this article. This kind of shows you, again, another reason why you want to safeguard your own property, such as Bitcoin, because apparently the FBI just seized about 800 safety deposit boxes from Beverly Hills, a very, very rich area, and that is worth about $86 million. And according to a lot of people and lawyers, this is unconstitutional. The FBI was just they suspected one person that was money laundering. So instead of just raiding that one safety deposit box, they decided to raid all 800 of them in that bank, which they actually had no legal right to do so. So again, be careful. Be careful. The authorities could seize. They could seize whatever you have at any given time, right? But with crypto, you have your own seed phrase. If you remember it, you hide it well, no one could take that away from you. So this is an important thing. And this also shows you if you have that seed phrase or recovery phrase or whatever, your private key, you probably don't want to put in a safety deposit box because it can be raided. It can be raided. Maybe there's a fire suppression goes on, sprinklers turn on and stuff like that. Safety deposit box, as far as I know, is not FDIC insured. So anything goes, right? So be careful with what you put in a safety deposit box because you never know. You never know. All right. Lastly, I want to address this email. I think it's important for a lot of you guys that are new to this space. It's a long email. But I'm going to summarize it. All right. So, hi, George. We're all George. Hope you're doing well. Okay. So he loves my show and loves everything. I'm going to skip through a little bit. Okay. I work in IT. Recently started looking into blockchain and got hooked into tech and the whole CryptosRUs. Yes. I've only invested money which I could live without. So you did not invest more than we could afford to lose. Okay. So that's all great. And I'm okay for holding. That's okay too. But here's the concern. I saw a few clips of Bitcoin 2021 conference in Miami, and I have to say I was quite horrified and cringed by the things I saw. For example, Max Kaiser's erratic and disturbing behavior, and Michael Saylor telling people to sell your houses to buy Bitcoin. It sort of looked as if Bitcoin is some kind of cult led by these so-called Bitcoin maximalists. Not sure if I want to be part of this cult. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think Max Kaiser and Michael Saylor doing and saying all these things is going to help Bitcoin in particular and crypto in general? Cheers, Lucan. Well, Lucan, here's the thing. And I'm going to be realistic about this. I think Bitcoin maximalists, they overall go a bit too far because keep in mind, this conference was a Bitcoin conference. It was not a crypto conference. Therefore, everyone that was invited on pretty much had to only talk about Bitcoin. And not everyone is a Bitcoin maximalist, but guys like Max Kaiser is a full diehard Bitcoin maximalist. And Michael Saylor is also, though not to the same degree. Let me first talk about Max Kaiser. You can't disrespect the guy because he got in Bitcoin so early, around $1. He's a billionaire, multi-billionaire from Bitcoin, and he has done a lot of great things in terms of advocating for Bitcoin and personal freedom and standing up against the tyranny of the centralized finance world. So he has done a lot of great things. Max, to me, is very eccentric. He does go off on a tangent sometimes. And I think he does that on purpose because that's who he is. He's an extrovert and He seems to like the attention. So that's how he's always been. A lot of his interviews have been like that. I don't really view that as a problem, but I do know that he is a hardcore Bitcoin maximist. So he refuses to look at any project that's not on top of Bitcoin. He'll just call everything a shitcoin, which I 100% disagree with. Because I do think, for example, DeFi and what we're seeing right now with DeFi is only the beginning and is going to evolve to something else. And I don't think that's going to go away. I think DeFi is definitely here to stay. And there's plenty of good DeFi projects that's outside of Bitcoin. And I kind of feel like Max has to, I don't know what it is. I think he's trying to defend Bitcoin because he has so much of it. He's trying to prevent money from flowing out of Bitcoin into altcoins, which at this point is really silly. I mean, he bought in Bitcoin at $1. It's at $36,000. There's no need to defend Bitcoin from altcoins. He's already a multi-billionaire. So I do get that. But to explain his erratic behavior, that's just how he is. That's just how he is. But trust me, he's a smart guy. He has done a lot for Bitcoin. It's just that I wish he would get out of his mindset that all non-Bitcoin blockchains are garbage and shitcoins. I hope he would get away from that eventually. Now, Michael Saylor's new. Keep in mind, he only got into Bitcoin in 2020. So most of you guys watching, and even myself, we've been in Bitcoin for much longer. He just happens to have a ton of money. And he happens to have a company that people believe in, so he can raise corporate notes so that he can borrow money to buy Bitcoin. And he became a Bitcoin billionaire through his purchases. But he is still relatively new to the space. And of course, I call him the new Bitcoin Jesus because he has done so much for the community. He's been advocating Bitcoin ever since he bought in. However, I feel like he's taking that stance kind of for the same reasons that he's trying to protect Bitcoin, right? But he's less like Max in terms of he just doesn't discredit everything, calling them shitcoins. He just thinks that DeFi and other things can evolve on Bitcoin, right? And that it could. You could have a dual ecosystem. So you got to have an open mind. There's not one thing that will always dominate everything else. Just look at the tech industry alone. Every single big company out there has an alternative, and there's usually many alternatives out there. That's competition. That's just how a capitalist society works, right? So yeah, you could have DeFi running on Ethereum. You could have DeFi running on Solana. You could have DeFi running on Bitcoin, and they could all thrive. And maybe one of them comes out on top, but doesn't mean everyone else will die. So Michael Saylor, I think he will still come around. If he comes on the show, I've been talking to his team, and we're trying to set up an interview. That's one of the questions I want to ask him, because I don't think it has to be one or the other. It could be both. And I do think Michael will eventually turn around. But in terms of him giving advice like sell your house to buy Bitcoin, first of all, I didn't hear him say that before. I have heard him say put down your Bitcoin and borrow against it if you need money. That is a strategy for people that actually have a whole lot of money. I don't advise that for people that don't have a lot of money. But I didn't hear him tell people to sell their house to buy Bitcoin. If he said that, well, it's a new way of thinking, because there is a lot of entrepreneurs right now that think that owning a home is silly. You rather just pay a mortgage or you pay a rental fee rather than to pay it outright. Although, old traditional thinking, that's probably not a smart idea. Old traditional thinking is, yeah, you want to pay off your house so that you're protected and you don't have to worry about that anymore. But the new way of thinking is you rather save that money from the house and invest it. So you rather pay the mortgage or the rental every month, and then you take that whole amount and go invest it in something like Bitcoin. So I guess it just depends on, if you have the old school thinking, new school thinking. I don't think it's wrong either way. If you can afford to pay off your house and you still have money to invest, then great. There's nothing wrong with that. If you wanted to be a little bit riskier and put all of it into investments, you could do that too. But just make sure you never invest more than what you could afford to lose. That is Number one to investing. You never, ever invest more than what you can afford to lose, because if you do that, then you're setting yourself up for failure. So, okay, so hopefully that answered that question fully, right? So Max is Max. I wish he would come around, right? But I think Michael, because he's new to the space, I do think there's a good chance he could come around. Now, in terms of his financial advices, I don't know. I haven't heard him say that before, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. So I think that's pretty much it. That's all I want to address. Altcoins are still kind of holding today. Bitcoin dominance came down from 45% down to 43.8%. So that's good. That's good from the sense of altcoins are gaining strength. That means retail investors are putting more money into altcoins. They're seeing bargains. You may see bargains. You may have bought the dip, and that is the right way to do it. You buy when things are low. You buy when things are low. You sell when things are high. Right? That's how it works. You don't want to do the opposite. Too many people make the wrong move by buying high and panic selling low, and that's what I'm here to do. Try to get you guys to stop doing that. All right, let's do some Q&A. For Shad, big super chat, thank you. Melissa says, thanks for helping my husband be a better holder. I'm glad to hear it. You got to encourage him too. Chad, appreciate that. Well, Dread, appreciate that. Okay, I'm not going to read that. All right. Which were your picks again for decentralized video and decentralized audio? Decentralized video has to beat Theta. Theta, no doubt. They're leading decentralized storage. Video platform. By far, they're the biggest. Although they're very, very, very far off from the likes of Twitch and YouTube. I know that. But compared to everyone else, they're light years ahead. Decentralized audio, I think that the one is Audius. They're like a decentralized Spotify. And they're up and running. They have millions of users using them already. So I think Audius is still a good one. Talk about AMP. AMP, what more is there to say? It's like every stream, people are like, talk about AMP, talk about AMP, talk about AMP. AMP didn't change for the last 6 months. So the only thing I've changed is that they got added Coinbase. AMP is a collateral token used in the Flexa app, which is a payment app for paying for things at retail places. So obviously when everything's locked down, that's no good. No one's out and spending money. But now that things are opening up, it's definitely going to help bring more users back to Flexa, which in turn helps AMP. And the Coinbase edition, of course, is a very good thing. Has pumped them up quite a bit, right? I've heard AMP also developed, the Flexa, or Flexa has developed so that you can use them on websites too. But ultimately, the project is still solid. So there's really not much more to say other than, yeah, it's doing good. It's a good project. Brian, thank you. Thoughts on Strong? I don't know. Pretty small. It's on KuCoin and Uniswap. Easily create blockchain nodes. Make a node. Nodes provide crucial data. Yes. But what's the point of creating a node? A node for what? So it's a node So it's a node for strong block. That's what they're saying. Otherwise, it's like, create a node for what? Okay, so you're creating a node for strong block. And what is strong block? Strong block has a whole bunch of nifty fi NFTs. Bronze, silver, gold, platinum NFT boost rewards, provide early access to new and upcoming nodes, features, and more. Man, I don't really get this at all. Why is there more upcoming nodes? I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on in this project, so I'm not a fan. If U.S. economy, real estate, stock market bubble bursts and crash, how does this affect crypto market? You believe the whole economy is in a bubble right now? I do believe the whole economy is in a bubble right now. I think everything is tremendously higher because of all the money that went into, that got pumped out and just went into the whole economy. That's why literally everything is high. Everything is high. If the bubble bursts and everything crashes down, unfortunately, I do believe Bitcoin and crypto will also crash down. But the thing is, I think that what's more important than worrying about the bubble is looking at how fast the recovery rate is. That I think is more important, and that I believe Bitcoin and crypto will recover faster, and that's because of all the momentum that it has right now. So if there's a massive sell-off, I think everything's going to sell off. I have no question that everything will sell off if it comes. But I do think that, it's important to pay attention to what recovers faster. Like real estate will probably take longer to recover. Stocks will probably be faster than real estate. But you look at something like crypto, I think crypto will recover even faster. So I think that's more important to focus on. For shot, another big super chat. Thank you. Appreciate the content. We're all George is crypto Fearson. Thank you. Say thank you, Zach. Just want to say thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate all of you guys, regardless if you give me a super chat or not. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Matic just pumped 19%. Anything new? Well, I did notice that Matic did drop significantly. I made a note of that yesterday. I'm like, there's no reason why it should have fallen that dramatically. Today, up, I'm not quite sure. I think it's just a good rebound from yesterday. Like ICP also sold off hard yesterday, and it's up 13, 14%. Polygon overall is a very, very, very strong chain right now. It started out as a layer 2 solution, but now it's standing on its own feet as a pretty good chain that has a lot of DeFi projects coming on board. So yeah, they're a project that I believe everyone should hold. What is your opinion on Dash? I'm not so sold on Dash. Dash is kind of like, it's like a digital currency with privacy features. Supposedly they have traction in Argentina. I can't verify that. I do know Argentina has a lot of Bitcoin volume. But Dash volume, I don't know how it compares. But, I'm afraid of privacy coins because I think they're going to be delisted from all the exchanges. Are you in the camp that believe LTC is overrated or underrated? I've been saying that it's been overrated for years. But I do think at some point it will try to catch up because it's really, really, really stagnant and has lagged Bitcoin for quite some time. So I do believe that it'll get its turn. I thought it would have got its turn when things were doing good a few weeks ago, and it came above to about $400. But I was wrong. It lost all momentum, and now it fell down quite a lot. What do you think about Ether Risk? Vitalik mentioned it recently in podcast. He's excited about it. Small cap. I have no idea. Doesn't even show up, so I don't know. Tesla to accept Dogecoin in July. Yeah, that would not surprise me. But you know what? I'm off the Elon bandwagon. It's that new plan that just came out. Man, I had an order placed. I was very excited about it. Now I can't be excited about it. Like I don't know how I could support, Tesla or Elon anymore. Can you look at Eternity? They're doing Manny Pacquiao and Mr. Beast. Well, that's bigger name recognition, that's for sure. Because early on, they brought in some people that wasn't really appealing. They haven't really recovered. Obviously, right now, smaller caps are having a harder time recovering. So they have. What is this, man? They have NFTs of like tickets and just like a event thing. Okay, so like this doesn't even this doesn't even make sense because the Lakers are out of the playoffs. So it's just like a what is this? Just like a plaque or something? This is I don't know. This is pretty pathetic to me. These are not the type of things that I would buy. So I don't know. Like this guy, Jason Huesner, who created this. I mean, I was not very impressed with that either. So I think Eternity was just like too pumped up, too hyped up before. Solana is known for being very fast. Yes. I know you don't usually like non-Doge meme coins, but wouldn't a meme coin in Solana make so much more sense? Yeah. Anything makes a whole lot of sense on a very fast chain. Very fast, very cheap chain, and of course it makes sense. It makes sense. That's the draw to Solana. That it is very fast, very cheap, and it has a backing of Alameda. What's your assessment on CRO native? Does it have any long-term potential like BNB? Keep in mind they have monthly scheduled burn of 10.4 billion. I don't think they have the potential of BNB. Really, no other exchange I think could come to BNB or let's just say come close anytime soon. CRO, start out as a prepayment card kind of project. They have gone into DeFi. Now they have their own chain. Yes, so they have a universal wallet. Yes, but man, they're nowhere close. You look at volume of, Binance versus them, nowhere close. Nowhere close. And I got to say, I was a little disappointed. They have a lot of prepaid cards, but none that's actually a true credit card. And you know who does have a true credit card? BlockFi. BlockFi has the world's first Bitcoin rewards credit card, which is coming out next month. So if you're interested in this and get rewarded with Bitcoin for all your purchases, 1.5% on all your purchases, check them out. Join the waitlist in my description below. But yeah, like CRO, Crypto.com could have had that. They had all the time in the world, but they didn't. So are they a good project? Yes. But can they catch up to BNB? I have a hard time seeing that. Planning on making adjustment to my portfolio. Should I be adding on more minor alts or BTC? If you don't have 50% of BTC, the answer is clear. BTC. Any updated thoughts on Link and Nano? No. I am neutral on Nano. I'm very bullish on Link. I think Nano's got a hard time competing with all these other currencies. Facebook's own network is Libra, changed to Demi. I thought it was Demi. Okay. Have you looked into it? No, because it's run by Facebook, and it's never go take off. No one really wants it to thrive, so I don't even know if it's ever going to take off. Jesse, thank you. Better take cover tsunami coming. For shot. There's something that I pointed out before. If you look at the weekly MACD, okay, right here, has never been this low ever in Bitcoin. It's like history. This is the lowest point for MACD, which is like a negative 4,000. It has never been this low before on the weekly. And stochastic RSI is also basically at 0. RSI is not at 0 yet or at 30, but you got this MACD, which is really, really, really low, and it looks like it wants to turn up. So another TA point for why this could be the bottom. Just pointing that out there. Your thoughts on hub mining? Are you loading up in time of their uplist? No. I do want them. I do want to come to GeorgeCon. I want them to present their case. But I'm not invested in them or anything. I see the max paying price of $40K on the 25th. Do you think FUD will go up to another level? I don't know. Obviously, I was wrong about the max pain price for last month, but I think it was just because there was just too much FUD to overcome. This month, it could happen again. I guess we'll have to see when we come closer. We're only barely through halfway. What's your opinion on Ocean? I think they're decentralized marketplace. Kind of hard area to excel at right now. What's your thought on the 6-layer solution built on BZ Network presented on Miami conference? You think alts will render useless if this happens? No. I just got done saying it. Just because there is layer 2 solutions, and even this morning I talked about Taproot, even if there are smart contracts and so forth on Bitcoin, does not immediately kill off every single other DeFi projects out there. No, they can cooperate. They could get along. Those tickets are real world events. You could get your stones, but it didn't make sense. Some of them doesn't even occur. Yeah. So unfortunately you're down, but you know what? That's the thing with NFTs. They're not really like crypto, right? They're not like buying a token or a coin. Some of them will do very well. Some of them may not. Some of them you may have to wait years, right? So it's kind of just one of those things. It's just a collectible, right? Sometimes collectibles get really hot. Sometimes they don't. Dr. Sunny, thank you. All right, guys. That's pretty much it. I'll let you guys go get your Saturday back. But overall, this impending death cross, will it happen? First of all, not sure if it will happen exactly. And second of all, if it does happen, doesn't mean that it has to go down. It could be going up, because the last 2 times, one time went down, one time went up. Right now, we know that there's just a whole lot of FUD going on. There is a lot of media-driven FUD, mostly because the guys pulling the strings, the corrupt, the evil, the evilness that's out there, right? They ultimately want you to sell your crypto, and that's what you don't want to do. You just want to ignore that, hold strong, continue your ways, right? Put in the work, transform yourself. You hold the keys to your future, no one else, right? Not the FBI, especially if you don't put your valuables in a safety deposit box. But you control your destiny, right? So keep at it. Thanks for tuning in. As always, smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Tune in tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Have a good night, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.